with allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight we have our invitation by Pastor Cole Smith from the Christ Chapel Church. Thank you.
Lord, we come to you tonight with just the mindset of a citizen. We're all yours, we're sons and daughters, but being here tonight, it gives us a voice, it gives us an opportunity to share opinions. And I'm glad that we live in a nation that still falls under your authority, God, yours first. I thank you for the county that we live in, for the state that we live in, but God, I also want to thank you for the nation that we live in that gives us these rights. I pray for our nation, for the leaders that not only are in this room today, but for the leaders that maybe not will ever step in a room like this. I pray that they feel blessed by you tonight as well, because we're calling on your blessings for them and for our nation as a whole. You know, we pray. Amen.
And before we know that you guys are building a facility there, would you like to share a little bit about some of the things that are going on in the
I
city?
would, if you give me just a second. My name's Cole Smith, and I currently serve as the young adult pastor at the Christ Chapel Zebulon location. And as you know, we've canvassed a few other places, and this will be our closest campus to Zebulon. So we've got a lot of people who already live in Lamar County who want to come and serve and do ministry with us there. I'm actually here with my fiance Angela tonight, and she's going to help us lead through that this fall. We're gonna launch a church here in Zebulon, right there in Barnesville, right on 18. And what was a thriving ministry there at one point, we hope comes right back, and we get to serve people alongside you. I know y'all are called to serve the people of this county, and we want to do the same. We want to point them to Jesus, but also provide the spiritual needs that they need, the physical needs, and just love on them, because the people of this county deserve someone to point them to Christ and someone to love them. So, thank you guys for the opportunity, and if y'all have any questions later on, I'd love to meet with you. You can message me, message the Facebook page, but just thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate what you guys do.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, we will move forward with the agenda. The next item is the approval of the agenda that's presented tonight.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gillis and a second by Commissioner Fletcher to approve tonight's agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have a need for a public hearing today. I will entertain motions to recess the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we recess for public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher and a second by Commissioner Lovett to recess the public hearing. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are now in recess for the public hearing. Ms. Price, come forward.
Our one application for the month of July is from LOR Properties. They are asking for a rezoning from agricultural to manufacturing 2, which is our general industrial category. It's approximately 22 acres located on Breezy Point Way. Might be the slide either before or right after that. Our joint planning commission met on this last Thursday. There was no one there to oppose this request. During the discussions with the Joint Planning Commission, they do have a recommendation of a condition. They do recommend approval, but with the recommendation also that it have a physical barrier of no less than 10 foot high along that. See the little cutout property of 61004? And that is still a residential property. They are recommending that there be a physical barrier there, at least 10 foot tall, as long as that property is still residential. And any other line that is shared with any future residential properties. As of now, there are none. These two smaller properties to the left of the applicant property, those are zoned residential, but they are vacant at this time. And then a 50-foot natural buffer along all other property lines. The applicant is on his way. He had a unforeseen lateness, but he will be here in another 15 minutes or so. but he is trying to get here. I believe no one signed up for, to speak for or against this application for tonight. To help understand where this property is, the larger property to the left is the old Booker School that is now owned by the county. The one to the right is several hundred acres that is owned by an outside company. It's actually, was purchased through the Development Authority. That property is in the city limits of Barnesville. The city limits kind of wraps around this property, and it is already zoned in, for the city of Barnesville industrial.
Any questions? Mr. Chairman? Sure.
The residents at 061004, I'm sure that they were notified, but you didn't get any response back?
No, sir. I have not spoken with them in person. The applicant says that he has spoken with them.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, entertain motions to reconvene our, regular business meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reconvene the regular business meeting.
Second.
Have a motion by Commissioner Thrash and a second by Commissioner Gillis to reconvene our regular business meeting. Any discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Now we're at the approval of the minutes. I know all of you have had an opportunity to review the minutes that have been presented. I entertain motions in reference to the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the workshop minutes of March 18th, 2024, and the regular business meeting June 18th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gillis and a second by Commissioner Thrash to approve the workshop minutes from June 13th and the regular business meeting minutes from June 18th. Any discussion? Hearing none, we call it to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, no old business. Our new business, obviously, is the ordinance that pertains to the property that was just discussed. Anita, do you want to do another brief little summary and get us started on this?
Are not doing the recreation lighting up there?
Yeah, no, ours has the lighting as number 2. But the one I do have email says lighting is number 1. Okay, let's go ahead and keep it as the most current one that you sent, Carlette, as opposed to the one that's printed out. And that has, resolution 2024-23, the line of credit for the recreation lighting upgrade. Sean, do you wanna go ahead?
Yes, sir. I know we got to talk with y'all during the workshop. I'm actually talking with the lighting company out of Macon and talking with them about how long would it take for them to get this scheduled. And right now, they wouldn't be able to get out here until November, and it probably wouldn't be until March. At the time, I'm just gonna ask y'all to table this until I can get a more of a timeline on this. Right now, I'm looking at maybe we can phase this out and get the lights all done, but the baseball is our biggest concern, is trying to get that done before they actually come out in March. And so I'm trying to work that out, and hopefully I won't have to get the line of credit at this time, but I will address this in August. So I will request y'all to table.
So I thank you for all the work that you do on that. I tell you, you always come up with some magical things to save us money. I entertain motions regarding, resolution 2024-23.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we table resolution 2024-03.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Gillis and a second by Commissioner Fletcher to table resolution 2024-03. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, now we are at, ordinance 2024-05. That is a rezoning of the properties. Ms. Martin.
Just to recap, This is a rezoning request for approximately 22 acres. Rezoning from agricultural residential to manufacturing 2. There is a very long list of permitted uses in manufacturing. Also, if this is approved tonight, before any development is done on the property, they would have to get approval from DOT for any type of access to the property before anything else happens, so, because that is still the state highway. There was no one who signed up to speak against this application. The applicant is still on stay. As of now, the plans for the property would be for spec buildings, very similar to what he has already accomplished across the street that has the battery company in there now. I'm sure there'll be truck parking, that is very popular at the moment. But there's space for multiple industrial type buildings on the property, if approved.
Yes.
Can you go over what the planning board recommended one more time, so we can include that?
Yes, sir. And it is, I went ahead and embedded that into the draft ordinance, that's part of your packet. So the condition recommendation from the Joint Planning Commission is that there be a physical barrier of a height of no less than 10 feet placed along all property lines that are shared with residential properties. And that a 50-foot natural buffer must be maintained along all property lines, along the other sides.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask that we delay a vote until the applicant arrives?
Anybody else have a problem with that? All right, we can do that. We will, hold off on addressing this issue until he returns. So we'll go ahead and move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Solid Waste Authority. This was a discussion about having a, engineering audit. You know, Commissioner Lovey, you had asked to put this on the agenda.
I did.
Lee?
Mr. Chairman, I hereby make the motion that a formal written request be sent by this commission's conflict counsel, Amy Cohen, to the SWA board requiring that all SWA facilities be made available for an industrial engineering review, and that this review be performed by a waste energy expert of counsel Cohen's choosing, to include a full demonstration of all waste to fuel equipment purchased by the SWA. Acknowledgement and acceptance of this request must be received by Commission's conflict counsel on or before Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, with all proceedings to be completed by Friday, September 6th, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, by Commissioner Lovett and a second by Commissioner Fletcher, to have a formal written request sent by the commission, conflict counsel, Ms. Cohen, to the Solid Waste Authority Board, requiring that all solid waste facilities be made available for an industrial engineering review, and that this review be performed by a waste to energy expert of counsel Cohen's choosing, to include full demonstration of all waste to fuel equipment purchased by the Solid Waste Authority. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Mr. Price?
our counsel, Amy Cohen, has publicly confirmed the county has no authority to compel engineering review, audit, or inspection of the Solid Waste Authority. The requested review is merely an act of political theatrics and an attempt by a politician who he himself is conflicted to gain access to protected proprietary information under protection of an alleged federal investigation that Mr. Lovett claims to have instigated. Any financial concerns by the county are unproven and unwarranted because the loan is in repayment status now. And JIPA has publicly stated the authority is in full compliance with the loan documents. If the actual motivation is truly a financial concern, the 2014 Environmental Facilities Agreement already covers that issue because the county is the guarantor of the GFA loan, irrespective of the project's viability. As a further note, there has been absolutely no admission by the authority that the project is not viable, exactly the opposite. Continuing to pursue the engineering review issue could be seen as a breach by the county of the environmental facilities agreement, one-way cooperation clause in favor of the authority, and would then open Mr. Lovett up to disclosing who is really behind his efforts.
Okay, I'm not gonna get into the middle of who's right or wrong, but let's just keep it civil. There's a lot of misstatements that's been going around, so let's just keep it straight to the facts, please.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. So, Ms. Nancy, nobody has paid a greater price for the continuation of this project. If you feel that this project is viable, then this is the way forward to show this community, many of them who are here tonight, many of them who have expressed at the ballot box their discontent with this, that this is a viable project. If it's not a viable project, then we need to take other actions. And you're in a great position because for the next 6 months, you're at the head of this. So either you get to have a review where they say, this is a viable project and this is amazing, and we all have to apologize for that. Or you find out that you've been misled by people that are supposed to be reporting to you, and you have a great opportunity to correct those actions. So the community is simply asking for a review. I cannot go. I will not go. I am not a pyrolysis expert. No one has ever asked me to do this except the community that I represent. And I did not instigate a FBI investigation. The FBI came to Commissioner Gillis and I. So those are things that are facts. Now, all we're asking for is that you endorse someone coming in that is an expert in this field. I don't get access. I don't ever get to go. But an expert walks in and says, this is viable or this is not viable. I don't think that that's a lot to ask for, especially after last night, where a councilman for the city of Milner, who sits on your board, publicly stated in front of an audience, and it's recorded for you to review, that this project will never make money, and if he could kill it, he would. And so,
I don't think he said that, but go ahead. He did. Yeah.
I hate to tell you, but there's several people in attendance and it's recorded. So all we're asking here as a community, and I believe, Commissioner Fletcher has just seconded this motion, is that someone else besides the people who've been working on it for 10 years walk in and take a look. I don't get to go. If you would like, have Commissioner Gillis go with it. Have anyone you want escort that person so that a solid waste authority personnel goes and a commission person goes and an expert walks through and gets to investigate. I am positive any expert that we bring is familiar with non-disclosure agreements and would certainly be willing to sign one. So as of this moment, no one can find a single thing at the patent office that says that there's proprietary information there. I think it behooves the rest of us to know what's there. And I'm asking you to not just vote for it, but lead the effort. Lead the effort to show this community that this is a viable project. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman, what happened to the, engineer that we were gonna vote on tonight?
You're talking about Thomas Miles?
Mm-hmm.
I will still pay for Thomas Miles to come. Thomas Miles is an expert. And if you recall on Thursday, I told you that he was an expert in the field. And he will still be coming to Charleston to come in. So this is a guy that can come consult and tell you whether your project is viable or not. If you need additional engineers to come, a project like this should have multiple engineers that are concentrated on a single discipline. At current, there's only one engineer working on your project full-time, and he's a water engineer. So we shouldn't be talking about just engineers. We're looking for an expert in his field, and that's what Thomas Miles is. If you would like someone else, whoever Amy decides is capable to come do this review, I'll back. Now, myself, Commissioner Gillis, and your community actually said, we'll pay for Thomas Miles to get off an airplane and walk through your facility. And I'm still willing to do that.
I would just
Just-
like to have someone who's an engineer, who's not dead.
Well, how about,
Johnny and Seaborn are not engineers, and they've been over this whole project.
so how about Thomas Miles come in and we also bring in an engineer with him? So Thomas Miles is a project manager, and in Atlanta, there are multiple engineers that are capable of escorting him through this and participating in the review. So your request is perfectly applicable with me. I love the idea. Thomas Miles and an additional engineer join your staff, and either Commissioner Fletcher or Commissioner Gillis walk through as our representative.
Just a point of clarification for two items. The first one is, the public funds can't be used to purchase this, engineering audit. We would have to get that out of county funds, and obviously that's not an issue. I just want to make attention to that, that it can't come from, and I appreciate those of you that stood up at the workshop and said that, hey, you would donate and put money towards it. That was really kind of you, but we can't do it that way. And then also, in light of what we are dealing with, and the magnitude, especially when you consider, the fact that there's a potential FBI investigation and that there's also, potential, additional litigation, I am glad that, Ms. Cohen was able to have a conversation, and I think that it would be pertinent for us to have an engineer, involved in this review, as opposed to what Nancy was sharing, is that he is not a stamped engineer, and something of this magnitude, being that he's gonna be subpoenaed to court, would definitely need to have an engineer's stamp of it. But as far as the motion that's on the floor in the second, is there any other discussion? Okay. There's a motion on the floor by Commissioner Lovett and a second by Commissioner Fletcher to have a formal written request sent by the Commission's Conflict of Counsel, Amy Cohen, to the Solid Waste Authority Board, requiring that all facilities be made available for industrial engineering review, and that this review be performed by a waste energy expert of council Code Collins choosing, to include a full demonstration of all waste of fuel equipment purchased by the Solid Waste Authority. We'll call it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passed 3-1. The next item on our agenda for tonight is the Solid Waste Authority Board appointment.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Gillis for the Solid Waste Authority Board, for the term that's outlined.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Fletcher and a second by Commissioner Lovett to appoint Commissioner Gillis to the open vacant seat for the Solid Waste Authority Board. Any discussion? Okay, we call it to the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Abstain.
Okay, so it's 2-1 with one extension. Motion carries. Commissioner Gillis, thank you for agreeing to serve on the Solid Waste Authority Board. All right, the next item on the agenda is the administrator's report. Michelle? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I see you. Let's go back to, thank you very much, Commissioner Gillis. Let's go back to ordinance 2024-05. Nita, do you want to give us just a little brief summary and introduction?
I've been dreaming about this tonight, word for word. We have a rezoning request. The applicant's representative is here. Thank you so much. It's a request to rezone approximately 22 acres from agricultural to manufacturing 2, which is our general industrial zoning designation. Our planning commission met last Thursday, and they recommend approval with the following condition, that a physical barrier of a height of no less than 10 foot must be placed along all property lines that are shared with residential properties, and for the other property lines to maintain a 50-foot natural buffer.
Do you have any questions? Do we have any questions for Anita or, Ms. Bice, or for the applicant?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I would like to hear you speak about what you plan to do.
Absolutely. Thank you. My apologies to the board and to any attendees. Your smartphone calendar is only the smartest person who keys in, and I apologize. We have the 22 acres on Breezeway under contract. It's not ours at the moment, but our plan is to, at the time of submission, we had a potential customer who wanted us to build a 20,000 square foot building with about 6 to 8 acres of outside parking for that, for our equipment and trucks. That has fallen by the wayside. The remaining portion of the property, we were intending to build what we call small business incubators, buildings less than 10,000 square feet that could be divided up into, if someone needed the whole building, they could take the whole building, if they need half of it. Flexible space that we could adjust as our tenants needed, and we build them as we had tenants for it. Like I said, we do not own the property yet, but our belief is that, the property has value, and that's a future value as a developed property for manufacturing or, business purposes, commercial purposes.
One for me. The resident at 061004. We were told that you had contacted that resident.
I have. I've spoken, Mr. Keith Leggett, I've spoken to him on the phone several times. I've never met him face to face. He called me when he received the, letter from the planning and zoning and asked about it. I'd actually spoken to him about it beforehand. His only concern at the time was by looking at the diagram, he thought that we were putting in an apartment complex, and that is not the case. I believe the stormwater management areas were confusing on it. But we have also asked him and told him we would like to have the first opportunity to buy that property if he ever chooses to leave it. He knows what we would like to do there. My boss is Lester Renew, and he seemed very, he said, oh, I'm glad it's Lester who's doing it. He said, I know there will not be any problems with it. So, I don't have an explicit thumbs up from him, but every conversation I've had with him has been very positive.
My final question, you're aware of the stipulations that have been put for the property?
Yes, for the 10-foot fence, basically for soundproofing and aesthetics, and then a 50-foot buffer around the property as well for the M2 zoning.
Excellent.
Seems very, very reasonable.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions or discussion? Entertaining motions?
Go ahead. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve ordinance 20-24-05, LO Properties rezoning from AR to M2 for property on Breezy Point Way, map number 061-002, with the following stipulations. An OP physical barrier of a height no less than 10 feet must be placed along all property lines that are shared with residential properties. A 50-foot natural buffer must be maintained along all property lines. Thanks, sir.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lovett and a second by Commissioner Fletcher to approve ordinance 2024-05, the rezoning of property from AR to M2, map 061-002, with the following conditions: that an opaque physical barrier of a height of no less than 10 feet must be placed along all property lines that are shared with residential properties. A 50-foot natural buffer must be maintained along all other property lines. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we call it to a vote. All in favor, we call by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we can move right along to the next item on the agenda, which is the administrative report.
Just want to get started with, the Mayor Pro report. They had 193 transports, 100 refusals, and 39 cancellations. The response time was 7 minutes and 42 seconds. And we did have 24 mutual aids with Upton County. Looks like Saturday and Sunday was our busiest time for June.
John, I'm sorry, can you explain mutual aid?
Mutual aid is what we do automatic aid with, Upton County. When we actually got our license, we did a mutual aid, which, we share ambulances with, us and Upton,
Okay.
which gives us 7 ambulances. They got, 4 over there, and we have 3 here, so we actually have 7 up together. We're trying to get an automatic aid with Pike County, which would give us 10 in total, and it would actually flow in between the 3 counties, but right now it's just us and Upton, but also we do get some mutual aid, which is actually comes from Pike County.
Awesome, thanks, sir. Thanks, sir.
All right, right now, our expenditures right now should be at 50%, and we are at 50.61, and that's because, I think the biggest thing was because of the, insurance for, liability came in a little bit higher than what we projected. Cash flow is still high, and the reason that is because we do have those 2, amounts of LMIG we haven't paid out yet. We have the MIG, and then we have the LARP, our money that came in, so that is a, little bit over $1.1 million right there. Right now, I'm not sure if everybody's been out to the seen the animal shelter, but they do have the trusses up, they do have the decking board on there. Hopefully by the end of the week, they will have the felt on there, and then they're gonna be doing the metal, so they can actually do the shingles, so it's coming along really well. The interior walls are in, the metal doors and metal windows are all in, so it's coming together really well. Just to let you know, we're doing still waiting on the RFP for guardrails. And then, have received a couple bids for, the roof gutters and coating of the bricks at the courthouse section for that $30,000. I know that, I got added to the agenda for the workshop, so I'm gonna try to get it in on the August agenda. Our lost collection was $143,137.34. And our, SPLOST funds came in at $251,095.61. And our collections for T-SPLOST came in at $226,359.47. All those are, running right on schedule, so. Overall, our finances are doing really well. Like I said, we do have those money, and then tomorrow, like I said, we're gonna do that mid-year review. And so hopefully I'll be able to give you more of a breakdown of our finances, how we are doing on our departments. That's all I have for right now. Oh, I will, August, we will be, for the workshop, I will be, met with the Georgia DOT today for some things, so we are gonna have to come in and show you some, they can email me some plans so I can show you. But we're, just talking about those 2 locations on Atlanta Street and the red light at the 36, so hopefully we'll be able to break it more down, and hopefully be able to get a vote next month.
That was a good meeting today. I thought that, some of the things that they, considering, is gonna be extremely beneficial for our county at a very, very low cost. All right. Is that it?
Yes,
Okay. All right, we'll move on to public comment. The first person that we have signed up for tonight, Mike Perry.
Mike Perry, 101 Maple Drive, Barnsley. Had a few extra comments to make tonight, but some of it not as necessary, not right now. So I'd like to address you as a report to our vote turnout from our last election. We have 15,039 registered voters in Lamar County. Of that, we had 2,485 care to vote for that election, which is 16% of the voters. That's over an 18-day period. If you extrapolate that to the cost per vote, we're probably about $40 a vote. We need to get our voters more involved. We need to get them out. You as commissioners in the districts can probably do a lot more to encourage voters. And we need to get them to pay attention to who's running. We elected a congressman and a commissioner, 16% of the vote. It's kind of sad for our day. So, thank you for what you did.
All right, next person we have is Elaine Alava.
I'm Elaine Collado, 131 Steeple Chase. First, I would like to thank Commissioner Fletcher for voting to put Ms. Gillies to take her place on the Solid Waste Authority Board. It's been something we've been waiting for quite some time. And I also want to thank you for voting for the possible engineering assessment and possibly using this TR miles that we discussed at the workshop to do that, along with an engineer if that's what's needed. Myself, I still do not believe for a minute that the Solid Waste Authority Chair, Nancy Trash, or the Solid Waste Authority Board will allow anyone to enter the premises. Johnny Core has always said there's some secret sauce they need to keep hidden. It's about time we knew what it was. The Solid Waste Authority claims the waste to fuel project is a success. Success is measured in different ways. If you think that making enough money to pay the loan is enough, then you at the Solid Waste Authority are wrong. The County of Milner and Lamar County, the City of Milner and Lamar County were promised $2.5 million in net revenue a year since 2017. Until that $50,000 a month is put without fail every single month into a joint account, the project will continue to be a failure in my eyes. When will the arrears be paid? Now they're saying the project won't be finished in 2025. That's going to be 18 million and counting. And as far as skip seed goes, I watched that Facebook post multiple times today. Skip Seed mentioned my name. Skip Seed lied. Yes, I went on a tour to see the facility. Yes, I said that I went there. But I can tell you, when I went there in July of 2023, there was no equipment up and running. I never said there was no equipment. I said I never saw any equipment running. Last night he lied to the citizens of Milner. Because I know what I saw when I went on that tour. There was equipment there, it was not put together. There was a MRF that was supposed to make this waste to fuel. The belts were sitting in a box, drying up on the floor. Nothing was even connected, nothing was turned on. Johnny Poor even mentioned that that equipment had been sitting there for years. When is the Solid Waste Authority going to stop lying about the success of the project, being given everything we've asked for? As Skip Seed said yesterday, quote, everything they asked for has been given to them. Well, I have an email that proves that Johnny Poor sent the contract between Seaborn Crosby and Paradigm Engineering by courier to GFA. And it says right in the email, we sent it so that it would avoid open records. We have never been given that. I've asked for it more than once. Is that the secret sauce? Show us that contract. Let TR Miles and an engineer into the facility. 90% of the citizens who voted in this county deserve the truth. Thank you.
All right. Next we have Bonnie Martin.
Bonnie Martin, 626 Piedmont Road, Farmsville. First of all, I want to thank you very much for your vote tonight to pursue an engineering audit of the SWA project. Hopefully, it will show that the project is viable and it will generate the projected income. Doing this audit shows your intentions of what they should be in taking care of Lamar County. However, I still have some questions. If the SWA project is really viable and transparent, why was Nancy Thrash and Ryan Traylor so opposed to asking for an engineering audit? We need it. We need to know that this is going to work. Hopefully it will. But if it doesn't, we need to know so that we can, I don't know what we can do. Make other plans. There was a $4.5 million dollar draw just recently that we found out about. What is that being used for? How much income is the leachate currently producing monthly? Johnny Poore told Fox 5 News the paralysis project would be up and running this summer. Surely he knew that was not true. Why aren't you concerned about another year delay on top of the 10-year delay that has already been? We definitely need an audit before we spend all the money, all the $27.5 million. And the Solid Waste Authority needs to go along with the request that is put in. I hope they will. Thank you.
Next, James Hogg.
James Hyde, 116 Blackwood Drive, excuse me. Quoting directly from the approved December 19 minutes, Commissioner Lovett put forth a motion that the conflict council determine whether or not the vote they just took is allowed under the county rule of ethics. I cannot answer that question for the county rules, but I can answer it under superseding state law. These are the state ethics laws. It's about a 60-second read. It says in relevant part, each member of all boards, commissions, and authorities shall never take an official action with regard to any matter in which he knows or should know that he has a direct or indirect monetary interest. Both commissioners who sit on the SWA board have stated openly in this forum that they have received compensation from the Solid Waste Authority. Regardless of whatever you call it, it is a monetary interest. Making of motions and taking votes as commissioners are official actions and are therefore illegal. Secondly, this is the Georgia statute that tells you in detail how to dissolve the Solid Waste Authority. It's about a 30-minute read. As far as an engineering audit, the Solid Waste Authority doesn't want to cooperate. You simply exercise your authority under OCGA 12-8-54 and replace any member of the board who objects, or appoint more members to the board who will override any dissenting votes. I just answered all three questions in less than 3 minutes. Answers you could have easily found yourself for free had you simply bothered to read the law. We need answers as to why in 3 months and in excess of $20,000, the Conflict Council has barely answered 2 of these. We have seen no fruitful outcomes from the time and expense involved. This is not your money. We want to see billing statements explaining in vast detail the justification of every billable quarter hour. Until we see such and it justifies the time, you are authorized to pay her $2,500 in order to terminate her services immediately. That sum will more than cover the less than 1 hour of actual research and her needless travel. We the people will happily entertain her lawsuit to try and recover the excessive charges and let her explain in open court what took her 3 months and $20,000+ to do 2/3 of what I did in 3 minutes. We will use the discovery process to find out what relationships are in play and if anyone is simply enriching their friend at taxpayer expense. We will no longer tolerate the waste of our money or an abusive and non-responsive government.
Next, Mike Mattis.
Mike Maddox, 120 Magnolia Farm Drive, Miller. Wow. You know, I wish y'all would stop all the backbiting. You know, we're as a nation asking our federal government to be transparent and make things right. We can't get poor little Lamar County government to do that. As far as the Solid Waste Authority, you know, I'm about tired of all that. Y'all need to straighten that out somehow, some way, because you need to be concerned about something. Y'all know the state laws and all that stuff, and this gentleman right here knows attorney laws and stuff like that. But there's one thing that I do know is machinery. I don't know how long those machines have been sitting over there, but the worst thing that can happen to any machine is to sit there. I don't know if there's a warranty on them. Is it a 50-year warranty or what? But when those things fire up, you're gonna find out you're gonna have problems from just sitting that long. Machines don't like to sit. If you want to prove that, take the new bus y'all are buying, sit it over there for 5 years and don't run it and see what happens with it. Now, I've come here and heard Mr. Traylor tell heartwarming stories and stuff about the community and all that. Well, I got a little story I want to tell y'all. A farmer took his mule out to his doggone farm one time, and he was farming his land, and the mule fell down a dry well. He didn't know what he was going to do. So he went and got his other farmer friends from the community, and they all come out there, and they looked down and said, there ain't no way we can get him out. We're just going to have to bury him right there. So they all got their shovels, and they started dumping dirt on that doggone mule, and then they noticed that he was shaking his doggone back, and he was stamping up on the dirt. So they kept shoving and kept shoving until that mule finally come up to the top, and he walked out, and the first thing he done was went over to that farmer and beat him on the butt. And the moral of that story is, keep covering your ass, it's gonna come back and bite you. Thank you.
All right, next we have, Dwight Fleming. Mike, I'll tell you why he's coming up, that I actually had that same note. Pastor Benny preached that a couple of Sundays ago, and that was gonna be my, round table in a few moments, but Pastor Benny ended it a little differently, so I'll share that in a moment. All right, Dwight.
Dwight Fleming, 1011 Van Buren. Two quick things. The only way the Solid Waste Authority is gonna regain any standing with the neighborhood. Credibility, right, is to stop forcing all these freedom of information requests, and when you get a question, answer the blooming question. There is no reason in the world to force the citizens to go through that process when it would actually take the authority less time to answer the question than it would to answer the freedom of information request. Second thing is, when Sean does his administrative report, the slides are so small that it is virtually impossible to read. Can we start printing his administrator's report, just attach it to the agenda and have it available where people can actually see it? Thank you.
Donald Harton.
Donald Hartman, 5070 Mill Road. The word I said over and over when I talk, and I don't think it's outside the box. Transparency. We just need transparency, like some of the other comments is made tonight. Let us know what's going on. Again, is this viable? Are we dead in the water? This is technology, I kind of almost consider it possibly like computers. And some of this is computer driven, and there's probably some IT people in here. A computer I bought 10 years ago, it probably ain't gonna work. Whether you got Windows 3 or 5, it's not compatible. Cell phones have upgraded, no more analog, we're in digital. We've changed formats. Stuff's old. Computers are supposed to run it. Where are we at in all those costs? I've done research and tried to get educated. That's my time, I'm down that fast.
No, you started a minute.
But anyway, where I wanna go with this is, I was at the big meeting, I believe it was almost a little less than a year ago, we had at the courthouse. Johnny Ford did a large presentation, and he kept mentioning this. My daddy, he always wanted to say my daddy, told this story. Now, there's gonna be a little humor, but this is where I'm saying transparency. Here's what I say about the project. I hear you clucking, but I don't see any eggs. Okay, show us what's going on. Let's get some transparency. We really need it for the project. A lot of people say they want it to fail. If it works, great. But again, we're not getting any transparency. And I'm gonna close on one thing. As somebody that attended the last Lamar County Solid Waste Authority, when they went into an executive session, the room that the attendees were sitting in, we were asked to leave, and then that room wasn't even used for the executive session. I thought that was pretty pitiful. Thank you.
All right, next we have Diane Perry.
Diane Perry, 101 Maple Drive. Mildred City Councilman Skip Saylor, who also serves on the Solid Waste Authority Board, made this statement last night at the monthly council meeting, and I quote, "GFA audits us every single year. They don't just audit the books. They physically come in and take inventory every year of everything that we have, and they have got no problems with it," end quote. We intend to file an open record request tomorrow with GFA, requesting all annual inventories performed by GFA staff that have involved the Solid Waste Authority facility in Lamar County, based off of this comment. Thank you.
Representative Robert Dickey.
Well, I'm glad to be here. I'm not sure I want to follow all those comments, but I don't have any comments on solid waste. But I'm a part-time legislator and full-time farmer, and just wanted to introduce myself, and looking forward to representing Lamar County and Barnesville next year at the legislature. Representative Beth Camp will continue as well, and I look forward to working with her and Senator Marty Harmon, and just I'm available if anybody in this county, any citizens, or each of you need anything on the state level. I'm certainly looking forward to trying to help citizens in this county move forward and be a great place to live and work and raise a family. So thank you for what y'all do. Thank you, citizens, for all your involvement in this county, and looks like a lot of good things going on. So that's all I want to say. Thank you for your friendship, and hope you enjoy those peaches a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, that ends our public comments. Roundtable, Commissioner Fletcher.
Only thing that I have tonight is Barnesville police officer was injured in an accident a few days ago, so just keep him and his family in your prayers. Thank you.
Commissioner Lovett.
No, sir.
Commissioner Gillis.
Yes, sir.
All right, Commissioner Brash.
I do, if you'll just bear with me for just a second. I know that there's been a comment tonight that said that, you know, I'm opposed, to, this engineering audit, and that's just not true. What I'm standing by is, what our council has advised us. This is the biggest fraud ever portrayed on the citizens of Lamar County in this county's history.
Amen.
The fear mongering, the lies, the half-truths are just baffling. When Mr. Lovett was elected, his first priority was he wanted to see the Solid Waste Authority project and immediately begin insisting. Last night in the Milner City Council meeting, Mr. Lovett started to say, at no point has anybody ever allowed us to come out. He stopped because he knew it was simply not true. Mr. Lovett and Ms. Gillis, without notifying anyone, showed up at the landfill where the feedstock prep machines are currently stored and were taking pictures and videos. Mr. Lovett and Ms. Gillis spent over 5 hours with Johnny Poor at the Intercom building. He further stated, I've been a commissioner for over a year and I've never seen it. What he's not telling you is he's not seen the technology, which is what he wants his hands on. Almost everything Mr. Lovett has said has either been proven untrue with documented facts or by his own public admission he was wrong. He has stated numerous times the Solid Waste Authority has failed at a project like this in 2008. The truth is, the Solid Waste Authority did look at another piece of technology during that time. We knew it would fail and did not spend a penny on moving forward with that technology. As a matter of fact, the Solid Waste Authority has looked at numerous waste-to-energy technologies and again, never spent a penny on that actual technology. If Mr. Lovett is allowed to continue on this dangerous, destructive path, the taxpayers of Lamar County and the city of Milner will suffer drastically. And in my opinion, there's no chance of ever recovering from it. The legal expenses from the multiple lawsuits will be crippling. Not to mention the contracts that will have to be paid off, and then there's the Jeep alone. You see, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Lovett is guaranteeing this will happen if this continues. Right now, the citizens of Milner are not on the hook for the Jeep loan, like he said last night in the Milner City Council meeting. Mr. Lovett apparently wants to make sure they are on the hook for the $27.5 million. But you see, he really could care less about the taxpayers of this county or the city of Milner. He wants the technology of this project. In my opinion, he's playing dirty politics and has ulterior motives, which certainly do not align with the citizens of Lamar County or the city of Milner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.
I'm gonna, no, we've already gone
I believe
past.
that personal insults and personal accusations deserve a response. Don't you agree, sir?
No, we're already on round table. Mr. Lovett, go ahead and save that one for next time. All right, so, first of all, I would like to congratulate the rec department, for going out to Baton Rouge and representing our county extremely well. They finished third out of 2016s, and I tell you, it's pretty exciting, and it's the one thing I was going to talk about in regards to Pastor Benny's message a couple of weeks ago is being planted, and how he used that same story. He talked about the mule being in the well, and he talked about being buried under so much stuff, and things being just tossed in on top of it, and simply the more that he was tossed on top of him, that most people would have thought was burying him, because basically what happened was the farm, based on Pastor Benny's story, the farmer was saying, hey, you know, my mule is going to die, so I'm going to bury it. And to their surprise, as they put more dirt on it, the mule started to rise to the top. And what he talked about with that was being planted, and how we as Christians and fellow citizenry, we need to be planted in what we understand and have the facts and understand what we believe in. And so the reason I want to share that is because everything we do in life is about vantage point. When I was coaching recreation sports, I was in Buddy Lanier's office every week complaining about what Pike County had and we didn't have. It wasn't until I became a commissioner and saw the budget and I was amazed at what we did have because of how low that budget was. You know, I never really, before becoming a commissioner, I didn't say I didn't care about the senior center, but when my mom got old enough to go to the senior center became very important to me. So many of you in this room, there are things that are important to you at this point in life that maybe wasn't as important before. Sometimes you hear us talk about roads, and it's roads you may never travel down, so you really don't have the appreciation of that road as a person that has to travel that road every day. And I tell you that because I know we have so many people that have moved into our community, and I do appreciate the great people that have moved into our community. But I was at training session over in Jackson just recently, and I was talking with a group of people at the table, and Anita had put together with Butts County a great zoning training, and we were talking about the water treatment plant and the city and the efforts that went behind it and some of the things that were going on. And I started talking about cars and the impact that the William Carter Company had on this community and on the need why we had such a large water treatment plant. And when they closed and went overseas, how all of a sudden we had an opportunity to have county water and how that ran out to the county. And a lot of people don't know that. So I say all that to you to say that it's important that we understand some of the things in our community. I was talking to someone at the grocery store the other day, and they made mention to me, they asked me about Van Baker. And they said, I remember when Van Baker was on that solid waste authority. I was like, yeah, he was on there for about 7 years. And they said, and Jay Matthews too. They said, we never hear any of those people who have been on that solid waste authority. All we ever hear about is you and Nancy. And I say that to say this, is that when we stand for something, and I know all of you are passionate about Mr. Perry, I appreciate the wonderful comment you made to me last week of appreciating what I do. But any of our commissioners up here, this is not an easy job. It is a very difficult job. I don't think anybody sitting up here take it light. Sometimes, unfortunately, you get emotional, things get a little fired up, but the intentions that all of us that we have up here is to continue to improve our county. That is our goal. Whether we make a mistake along the way, we learn from it and we keep going. So I say all that to say to you, appreciate you guys being here tonight. Thank you for so many of you coming out. Thank you, commissioners, fellow commissioners, for what you guys do. And above all, thank you to the staff. Sean, when you were on vacation last week, I don't think there was a hiccup. I mean, we had I probably shouldn't say the dump truck that caught on fire or whatever, but still, it was still flawless. Everything worked and everybody did a great job, and I truly appreciate that. With that, I entertain motions to adjourn. I have a motion by Commissioner Thrash and a second by Commissioner Gillis to adjourn. Any discussion? Hearing none. Motion, all in favor signify. You have a discussion on the motion to adjourn?
I did. I would not like to adjourn until I'm able to respond to Commissioner Thrash's remarks.
That's not part of the adjourn motion. All in favor signify. All in favor signify by saying aye. We already had a second, so we're going to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. You make the motion, yeah. We only have one. Okay.
Nobody seconded.
Commissioner Gillis seconded. We have a motion by Commissioner Thrash and a seconded by Commissioner Gillis. We're in discussion.
We're discussing. So all I want to say is what she thinks about me is irrelevant. The easiest way to do this is for her to capitulate to an engineering review of the project. You know, personal attacks on me, that's fine. We can do that. But this community has asked for, and they deserve to see what they're paying for, to see what they gave up their landfill for. That's what they're entitled to, and that's all I've asked her to do. So no other response is necessary. I simply asked her again to reconsider and to join this community in looking at an engineering audit. Thank you for the discussion, sir.
So we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries.
Jason, you can have it done there in January, it don't matter, and get done.